something for him.
I just love the women that lie. I think we posted a picture of a Walmart ring and said it was like, I want to say it was like less than $50. Like, would you say yes if your man proposed with this? Yeah, as long as he loves me, stop lying. No, you would not. Oh.
You might say yes, you ain't gonna wear it. We still working on the wedding bands and stuff. Yeah.
What up, what up, what up, what up? It's Three Brothers No Sense. I am Tavares Ferguson, a.k.a. Ferg. Join my co-hosts Razi and Buff. Fellas, tell them what's on your minds.
What's up, everybody? I will say Colin in black and white, if you guys haven't gone out and watched that, is well worth the watch. It is super good. It has this kind of How I Met Your Mother, Everybody Hates Chris storyline to it, where, you know, he's flashing back, but then he jumps in and interjects with like some historical facts and things like that. So really, really good limited series. If you haven't done that, go watch that. Eternals came out.
Hold on. Let's stop on Colin black and white.
All right, go ahead.
I'm probably 3, maybe going into episode 4. I agree wholeheartedly. It's a pretty good series. I'm surprised there hasn't been more backlash, screaming reverse racism, and then even from athletes who might even take it as him being more of a sore loser, or him downplaying it, or him being petty, you know, because he talks about, you know, the system. He talks about you being the acceptable Negro and all that stuff. So having to play the game and get the white man's stamp of approval. And I'm surprised more people aren't offended. Even though I feel like everything he said is true, but, you know, the truth hurts.
I think that's why he probably didn't get as much backlash from the black or athletes, because like they know that it's true. I'm surprised he didn't get as much backlash from kind of the white athletes, where, you know, are you saying that because I'm white, I have that privilege of being able to kind of go through the system a little easier? Again, it may be that they know that it's true. So that's
but
why
people
you're not
fight the
it.
truth all the time. You know, they fight the truth all the time, because it's hard to hold a mirror against yourself when it can kind of shed a negative light on you, or make you have some realizations that you don't want to face. And I think that's for anybody, you know. So so far, I'm really enjoying it. Buff, have you caught any of it?
Yeah, I finished it.
Yeah. Okay.
Thoughts? Anything?
I was gonna let you finish. You mentioned it, the shows it reminded you of. It actually reminded me of This Is Us a little bit, and that it's the opposite version of This Is Us, to where if Randall had non-understanding white parents raising him, because those first 3 episodes, like, you guys are worried about the backlash. I'm worried about how his adopted parents, you know, took that in. It gets a little better the last 3 episodes, but those first 3, it's like, yo.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, his mom and his dad was so, they were so condescending that it was just like, well, not even oblivious. They were oblivious.
Yeah, that's it. I was, you know, kind of discussing it with some friends, and like the thing about it was that they were coming from a place of love, but ignorance, right? They really thought that their whiteness, and they could raise him in whiteness, and it would protect him. And so that's where they were like, oh, well, you know, when she was like, you look like a thug or whatever, because he wanted to have his cornrows or whatever. And so they were cutting him off and taking him to supercuts and all of that. And you know, you could tell she didn't feel comfortable with him connecting to his blackness. And so I think, I agree. They were oblivious, but not in a negative way. Like, oh, they intentionally did it. I really do think it was that they thought that that's what was best for him.
They just didn't want to accept his blackness. I mean, I think when we say ignorance is bliss, I think they know more. Like, you can't, it's hard for me to believe that they're that ignorant, or the fact that they really assumed, and there was an episode or where he was one of the good ones. And so they didn't want him falling in with the wrong crowd and stuff like that because they knew about black issues. They knew what was going on. They weren't that oblivious to what was going on. It's just they did not want their son in that world. And
yeah, because again, they thought that by raising him as a white kid or the exception or whatever, that his blackness would be glossed over. You know, the whole I don't see color thing. They thought people really don't see color, and that because how he carried himself and how he spoke and everything like that would get him over the hump, and it was no big deal that he was black. But anyway, kind of shifting gears to movies. Marvel dropped Eternals last weekend. It was I'd give it like a 7. It was a good movie. Really good storyline. It was long, very, very long. A lot of setup, not enough action for me for it to be kind of a Marvel movie. You know, I'm expecting more action, especially with how over the top their power set is. I thought it was going to be a lot more action, but it was good. I mean, for what it was. So I think it really does a good job of setting up Phase 4. So you had a lot of kind of the new characters and everything like that. So I think that was the best part of it.
You catch that? You catch that end credit scene? That reveal?
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
Okay. You know who it was?
So you went
right?
to go see?
We're not. I'm not. You know who it was?
Okay.
Yeah.
So Razi, and Byron, you got to remember, you might not, but you can't guarantee what Razi may or may not do. So you went to the theaters to see it as well, Buff?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to catch it on a stream somewhere. But that is you gave it one of the better critiques. I've heard nothing but bad things about it.
No, I liked it.
Good.
I agree with everything Razi said, but it's like they were trying to do an origin story and like a current day story at the same time. So it was a lot of details they had to piece together and stuff. But it's pretty cool. That's all you got, Razi?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, part of what Razi said is pretty much what's on my mind. I was just gonna say, just celebrate some of this black excellence that's going on. We brought up Harder They Fall last week, and I'm not gonna lie, I got a little annoyed at the whole colorism argument, which I acknowledge is probably very true. A lot of people had a problem with Stagecoach Mary, and why couldn't she be dark skinned like the real life person? It's just sometimes I just want to enjoy the shit we do. And maybe and I admit that's probably wrong of me. I probably should have been with those people saying, hey, more dark-skinned women, colorism, let's get rid of it. But every once in a while, it's like, can we celebrate anything? You know what I mean? Without, but it was this. I'm not even watching it. So that was a little disappointing, but I understand where it's coming from. Razi mentioned the Colin Kaepernick in black and white. That was very good. We got Stephanie Mills and Shaka Khan out here doing the verses as well. And we got King Richard coming, I think, next week on HBO Max. So a lot of black excellence going on right now for people to check out. And last, I wanted to ask Ferg, did you know anyone that went to Astroworld? And if so, are they okay?
No, I didn't know anyone, but one of my lamplighters, one of his classmates was one of the people that lost her life in the event, tragic event. So,
oh man,
one of the younger people.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's that came as a shocker. You know, it was, which doesn't help mine. Probably Razi's large crowd fear. You know, like being around that is just I always, in the back of my mind, I have a fear that the crowd can turn on you. And that's just PTSD. Even like when I do go to concerts, because the next night we went to a Trevor Noah comedy show, and you have to, even going there after that event made me a little nervous, but we actually ended up getting some tickets in a suite just because I felt a little more sectioned off. And with the pandemic, with what happened with large crowds and stuff like that, there was a good look. But I mean, that, my heart goes out to the family there. I really want them to get down to the nitty gritty of what really happened and how we can prevent that from happening again. Because large crowd, that's what people don't understand. Large crowds are one incident away from being a riot.
Yep.
And that's why, like, every time there's a concert, I could want to see the performer as bad as possible, but also look at, and maybe that's me, I look at the crowd. I'm like, what kind of crowd are they bringing? You know,
that's why I haven't seen Rick Ross live.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of concerts I haven't gone to because I'm like, man, I know that this person's music expands generations and genres and everybody loves them, but at the same time, there's a lot of X that might be there, and I'm not with being around that.
So what you got, Ferg?
Were you upset about the Scarface, his last concert, Buff? No, he's officially retiring.
I mean, he's giving us so much music, man. And I never believe rappers and boxers. I never really believe when they say they're gonna retire. Like, it just has to happen. I never believe their announcement. But even if he doesn't make any music or tour again, I got a chance to see him live a couple of years ago, and he has a ton of music out there that I can still enjoy.
Okay, well, we're speaking on Black excellence, so
he should be on someone's Mount Rushmore, by the way.
Is he on yours?
Yes.
Okay, then that's all that matters, right? Silk Sonic.
Oh man, so good.
That was a refreshing album. I think it was only 6 or 7 songs, but it was.
I think it's 9, right? Is it 9?
Was it 9?
Yeah,
it felt like 6 or 7, but you know they were so short and it just flowed so.
I think there was like 6 new ones. I mean, if you want to put it, and then the 3 singles that's already out. So yeah.
So what I will say about the album is, it was refreshing to hear something different, yet it was old and new all at the same time, right? Like you felt like you heard it before, but it was all new stuff. Hats off to Boosie, baby. Like his hand was sprinkled all over that. And it was a perfect blend of, I would say, R&B, soul, just enough hip hop vibe where it was just, they made it seem like it was modern day. And there was a hint of realism, like where people try to sugarcoat love and heartbreak and stuff like that. That junk had me vibing and rolling from the get-go. Especially smoking out the window.
Mm-hmm.
The got me paying her rent, paying for trips. That is one of the most hilarious lines ever. The way he introed that had me rolling. I had to run that, but the first time I heard it, I had to roll it back by 5 times. Like, did this dude just? But no, so that was refreshing. The only thing that would have made the album better, and I said it before, if they would have got 3K on there or CeeLo. So it's not too late. You can have a couple of remixes, but outside of that, Trevor Noah concert, you guys are right. I mean, performance. Trevor Noah is awesome. He had me rolling from the get-go. The guy is brilliant. He has a knack of delivering modern day things without making you feel attacked. I mean, great show, great vibe.
Is he the acceptable Negro comedian?
No, because I think he questions you though. He makes you question what's going on. You know, the acceptable Negro is not going to. The acceptable Negro talks all about black people and makes white people feel good. To me, he's going to make you question yourself. He's going to kind of like, hey, I'm going to put this out there. Like Chappelle is a little more in your face. Trevor Noah puts it in your face, but he runs the gamut. He'll talk about everybody and then kind of like, oh yeah, white people, I'm coming at you too. Like, here you go. But it was a good show. Some good up and coming comedians. So had a blast, good date night. So I think that's it. And a belated Happy Veterans Day. What was Sherman's birthday? Did we wish him a happy birthday prior?
I don't think so, but we certainly wished him a happy birthday in other ways. So he's good to go.
Yeah, he'll be all right.
True. I think that's all I got, really, man. Oh, and take it back. Happy 20 year to the Q17. My line brothers and I just celebrated. Tuesday, we celebrated 20 years in the frat, which was a huge milestone. It was just disappointing that with the pandemic being the way it is, we had to miss homecoming and really didn't get a chance to celebrate the way we wanted to. 20 years ago, we never thought we wouldn't be able to get together, during that time period. That's it. That's me.
Yeah. I did want to tell y'all. So, I was in Atlanta Friday, right? And we were just driving down the street and we saw these two dudes like just fussing over a bus pass. It was hilarious because there were two crackheads. But I ain't jump in though because that was a fair fight.
Insert the cricket noise when you edit this show. Insert crickets.
Y'all didn't like that one? It was a fair fight. I get it. Huh?
Bus fair.
Huh? Yes, bus fair. Yeah. That one it tickled me.
Oh man.
You're getting better at your delivery, your timing. You just got to select better jokes.
I thought that was a good one. All right, well, how about this? I'm gonna go grab Sophie. I'm gonna let her give y'all one. I'm sure that one will be better for you guys.
I'm also sure. Hello. How goes it?
Good.
How's everything going with you?
Good. I got a COVID test.
You got a COVID test or COVID vaccine?
Vaccine, not test.
Okay. So you're vaccinated?
Yes, I'm vaccinated.
Yes, vaccinated. I love
vaccinated.
it. Me too. I got to get another one because I'm getting old.
I don't think you're old.
You're right. I love you, little Sophie.
I am very little.
All right, how you feeling?
I'm feeling great.
Okay. Well, that's good. So we got one more shot to get, right?
Yes, December 2nd.
December 2nd?
Yes, 2nd.
2nd. I don't know what day 2nd is.
2nd.
Oh, okay. I didn't know, I figured that's what you were talking about, but I didn't know, Things happen. I'm not cool, so, there might be a new date on the calendar that I don't know about. So, Sophie, we have a big ask of you. Your daddy gave a joke.
Uh-huh.
How do I put this nicely? It wasn't his best, okay?
Okay.
We need you to save him.
Okay, I'll save Daddy.
Give us a good joke.
Okay. What do you call a woman with one leg longer than the other?
I don't know, but the setup is funny. You know, Buff?
No.
Hi, Buff.
That's up.
Oh, man. One leg longer than the other.
Longer. You can put it shorter, too. Either way, it works.
This is comic gold, Razi. Comic gold.
That's
Buff,
not the joke.
You got anything, Buff?
Nah.
I got nothing, Sophie. What is it?
Eileen.
Oh, God. I love that little girl. Eileen. That was a good one, Sophie. I appreciate it. Thank you for...
I saved Daddy.
Yes, you did. He's hating. But it's okay.
All right.
Goodbye. I'll see you on next week.
Okie dokie.
See?
It was Eileen, not Eileen, but
Either way. But see, you messing up a joke. Eileen. It works either way. See? Hate. Yeah. Just sprinkle all that little hate in there.
Look, as a comedy writer, sometimes you want your jokes to be delivered in a certain way.
A comedy writer.
But as a professional, it's all about the delivery. Sometimes they take it. That's called ad-lib, sir. The best do it. You got Eddie Murphy. You got Will Ferrell. You got Sophie, Red Fox. All of them ad-lib, sir. Ad-lib. All right, man. So who's up first?
I actually think it's either me or Razi.
Yeah, it's definitely not me.
Right, you got it. I don't even know what I want to ask.
All right, man. Let's Okay, so my intent is not to make anyone mad. but I do want to ask the question. And on the front end, the listeners should know that none of us three have ever experienced this, so we are speaking from a place of strictly opinion. But y'all boy, our boy, the person who many like to hate, some worship him. One of Kevin Samuel's biggest talking points is that there is no upside, there is no advantage to a man raising another man's kids. In other words, there's no incentive to being a stepdad because, he says that you can, you're spending your money on somebody else's kid. And then let's say if they grow up and make it, they're going to give the credit to their mom and more than likely their biological dad. I forget his exact arguments because I hadn't listened to him in a while, but I know that's the genesis of one of his arguments. And I actually have a coworker who has been through this. I'm going to try to be light on the details because I don't want to give away too much information, but he actually, did marry someone who had 2 kids, raised them from when they were the ages of like 3 and 2 years old. And one of the reasons that him and his wife are separating now is because they did not appreciate what he has done over the years, pretty much raising him, spending all his money on them on vacations and stuff like that. And they just grew up to be very disrespectful to him. And it all culminated to an argument to where she did not take up for him. She took the kid's side. And so he was like, you know what? I've been a fool for being in this for however long I've been in. I need to exit this whole situation. And it just made me think about, listen to him tell me that made me think about what Kevin Samuels has said. So, to you two brothers, is there any truth to the fact that raising someone else's kids, being a stepdad, has no perks whatsoever? Do you want to agree with that? Or do you want to push back on it and give the opposite in that, there are some benefits to it?
Well, I'm lightning with the blam blams, so let's do this.
He made that post yesterday.
That's one of my favorite lines of that whole movie, man. I like that line.
Oh, man.
Because I wasn't expecting it in the movie. Like, it's a period piece, it's a Western, and then he's like talking about blam blams. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
But no, I definitely want to push back on that. I like you said, I have not experienced that, but I have especially cousins that, Uncle Derek, I'll just throw it out there. He raised my cousins from kind of that same thing, 3 and 4 years old. And, he loved those kids like they were his own. It didn't matter that they were stepkids. It really came down to, I made this decision to be with this woman and her children. And I'm going to raise them like they're mine regardless. And so I don't think there's a difference of like the example you gave of whether he was a biological or not. That happens in, life all the time. Whether a biological dad gets to an age where the kids start disrespecting them and not appreciating them and all of that stuff. So to kind of draw that line of that's not my kid, that's somebody else's kid. If that's the case, then there's no point to adoption either, right? It's all about being able to give to that child and raise that child the best way you know how. And we all have kids. You can attest to it. There's nothing better than that kid running in and just kind of jumping into bed with you and loving on you, or, them doing something big and their eyes light up and the first person they want to come tell is you. Those types of things, like those moments when you're raising a child is all the payback or, recoupment you need. It doesn't have to be when they make it to the league and they start calling you out and stuff like that. If you're doing it for that, then you're in it for the wrong reason anyway. You chose that woman and those kids for the wrong reason. If you're like, oh, well, 17 years in the future or 30 years in the future, when this kid makes it big, they better shout me out when they get their Grammy. Like, it shouldn't matter, right? I really feel like Kevin Samuels, again, I don't know if he has kids, or has ever had kids.
He has a daughter.
Yeah, so if he has a daughter, like he should know that love and what you give to that child, and it shouldn't be because you want something back in return. So that's all I got. He's Kevin Samueling, and just trying to do something to get clicks and likes and stuff. So
well, I'm gonna. It's two parts to my answer. Your last statement, I think what it is not necessarily what you're going to get out of it, but I think it's the hurt that comes with it. That if you pour your love in this person, you love them like a child, you love them like they're your own, and then when it comes out, they still see you as less than. Mm-hmm. Like I gave you all my love, and I still see. At the end of the day, this child still sees you as less than. And for somebody who might not have been there, because I think for me, it's not my kids, but people I've poured energy to and things where I'm like, I've done everything I can, and you feel almost betrayed or like, man, you didn't appreciate the love that I gave you or the energy I gave you. That's tough for anybody. So I can get that part, and that might happen more times than we think, because for a lot of people, they still want that acceptance from that biological person. You take for granted what you have there. You want that, hell, maybe even part of the reason I moved to Houston is still wanting to have a relationship with my biological father. I had one with my stepfather, but my biological father, I feel like there was something missing. And as I grew as a man, it's like, man, I still need to build that relationship with him. That missing factor. So I think a lot of times people are going after what, you take for granted what's in front of you. With that being said, I'm pushing back as on a whole, though, because my stepfather raised me, right? And I think the main point is the onus falls on the mother, believe it or not. Because if that mother still puts that separation between this is stepdaddy or this is Mr. Johnson or Mr. Kenny or Mr. Da-da-da, and she still treats him like in that world like there's the asterisk there, then the child's going to grow up with that asterisk respect and love for that father. It could be still a lot of love and a lot of respect, but it's still that asterisk. So as long as I can remember, my mom still calls. My mom and Kenny haven't been together for 20 plus years. When I talk to, have you talked to your dad? She still asks me, have I talked to my dad? Like in my phone, Kenny's under dad and my biological father's under his real name because he raised me as if I was his own. And when as a kid, I wanted to be his. I wanted to be biologically his. At one point, I wanted to change my last name. I could have been Carter. Believe it or not, there's no Ferg. But
Cart? Didn't hit the same.
It didn't hit the same. But at the end of the day, I remember growing up, me wanting to live up to his expectations. I wanted to appease him. I wanted his acceptance. I wanted to make him proud of me because when I was growing up as a young man, as a young boy, he embodied everything I thought a man was supposed to be. And he treated me as his own. As a matter of fact, if you talk to him sometime, I probably got to experience him at his best more than any of his biological kids. My stepsister was in Mobile with her mom. My younger brothers came on the tail end of my mom and his marriage. And so I grew up when it was just me, him, and my mom in the house. And I still look at him as my father. I mean, I don't, meet your heroes, you learn their imperfections. So there's still that human element where there's disappointment sometimes, whatever the case may be. But that's my dad. I don't know what else to say. So I think a lot of it, I take that back to what I was saying. My mom always instilled in me that this is your dad. There was never a separation. It was never a but. He disciplined me way more than my mom could. And I remember when I was going through premarital counseling, that was an issue with one of the couples there, is because you gotta take all of it together. If this is your husband, if this is your child, you gotta let him in. There's no holding back. It's easier to say than do. I'm not, because I know that there's some single mothers out there that are going to want to push back and all that stuff. But it was like, if you want that to work, there can't be that asterisk. That causes an internal rift, because they're my kids when I'm spending money or we're in a good place. But when you have to make a choice between me and them, all of a sudden it's them because ain't they real daddy, and I got to protect my kids. And that's kids see that. Even after my mom and my dad separated, she would ask me, have you talked to your dad? You still got to respect that's still your dad. And I'm kind of like, F that dude. That's where I was at that point in my life. But my whole life, she has demanded that I respect him.
So I think for Kevin, he's big on the whole high value man thing. And his thing is that he feels like most men don't want to pour their resources into something to where they're not going to build their own legacy. And he uses this example a lot when a man doesn't have any kids and a woman who already has like 3 or 4 and doesn't want any more, but still looking for that high value man, preferably with no kids. He's like, why would a man who more than likely wants his own legacy get with you, pour resources into kids that may or may not even appreciate his efforts when they get older? And so that's where he's coming from. Now, with my person that I know who went through this, I think you hit it spot on, Ferg, to where, he didn't come out and say he was hurt, but you can tell he's hurt by the fact that he did all of this for these kids and their dad did the very, very, very minimum, like maybe get a pair of shoes for them on Christmas or their birthday, but throughout the year, nothing else. And yet, when they got into this final argument that made him say he needed to separate them, one of the first things they said was, well, you wouldn't talk to my dad like that, or I can just go call my dad and he'll be over here right now. It's like, after all he's done, at the end of the day, they still see him as an asterisk and their dad as the guy. And so that's kind of why I wanted to ask this question. So I actually see both sides. I just think that there are no absolutes, obviously. And if you're a man that's considering dating a woman with kids, you do have to take a lot of things in consideration. And this is a conversation you need to have with that woman. Like, if we're going to live together, build a family together, my word need to be just as powerful as yours to these kids, because these are about to be our kids. And if it's you can't punish them, wait till I get home, or that type of scenario, that's not a scenario that I think you want to enter. And that's when I can understand that, hey, there is no advantage to raising other people's kids. But, I think, Ferg, you told a great perspective of being raised by a stepfather, and there are plenty of examples like that. I just think when you're entering that situation, you need to have those discussions. That just on a whole different subject, when you get in a relationship, have discussions about important things. It's not something you want to address when you're 2 years in or whatever like that. So
yeah. And that's it's. And there might be some pushback, because I'm pretty sure there's plenty of our listeners who are in that situation who they have to consider, like, it's scary. I can only imagine you've been having to do all of this so long on your own, and to bring another man in and say, hey, my kid is 10. You're supposed to get as much respect in this household and be able to raise him or her the same way I do. But it's one of those things, if you want this person in your life, you increase the chances of the relationship or eliminating certain situations in that relationship if you accept that it can work, but it's still tough.
And do they have to agree, like, how they choose to discipline or raise your kids? Does it have to fall in line with yours, or will you be open to accepting a different form of how they do it? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that goes to a conversation. I think any parents, whether it's coming in or whatever, or hey, this is our kid and we're together. You and Tab have to be aligned to how we're going to discipline. You know, you and Z have to be aligned. So I think you have to have that conversation, whether you're coming in, from the outside into the relationship or you're in the relationship, and be able to bend and flex, because there's going to be based on how each person was raised, there are going to be differences in how they want to discipline and everything like that.
Yeah.
I think what it comes down to is making sure that neither one of you are going rogue.
Yeah.
And I think it goes to maybe what Kevin was hitting at. Like, is it worth it? Like, is it worth it to enter this situation where I have no kids or I have kids of my own? I'm already dealing with things of my own, and I start dating this woman with kids, and there are all these potential red flags of, she's a helicopter mom, and I can't do this, and I can't reprimand her kids, or she does this and this, which might have been a necessity and survival, and she's done a great job thus far, but where do I fit in? And that could be the frail male ego trying to figure out where you fit in, but it's a realization. So is there a benefit to me? Because when I listen to Kevin and when I hear him, I think it's a lot of his conversations come down to the simple fact, why would this guy choose you? That's the big question. Why would I why would I enter this situation with this already looming obstacle? You got 3 kids and I got to figure out how to love you, how to love, respect, and be into your kids' world. And I've seen these challenges not work more than they do. And so with that being said, I'm going to bow out. And then all of a sudden he's not a real man. And then our whole podcast with us all revolves around, why would a man choose you?
Good question, Buff. Good question.
Good one. What you got for us, Dry?
I have no idea, bro. You got something? Because I have. Okay. I really, literally don't have.
My question might be kind of weird. We've talked about this before, and so the listeners heard me. Well, they know that Z and I are planning a vow renewal, and Razi's my best man, and Byron, I asked him to be my officiant on the show, or our officiant on the show. And it made me think about, it's a big deal for me because Z and I didn't have a traditional wedding, right? And that was always kind of part of the things I felt like we missed. But we try to be financially responsible, as well as our approaches. We were focused more, and not knocking anybody, but we wanted to focus more on building our relationship and setting ourselves up for a solid marriage rather than a solid wedding. Not knocking anybody that had a traditional wedding, but with the divorce rate being so high and people spending in the world we live in is all about flash and everybody spending money and trying to impress everybody. Do you think it might make more sense to change the view or the standpoint and stop doing as such large traditional weddings and maybe look more towards vow renewals? And so, which each one of us having kids and us having a conversation saying that we're willing to help pay for our kids' weddings, would you be more willing to do that or encourage them to do that, saying, hey, you've been married 5-10 years down the line, I'm way more open to helping you fund this because I just want you guys to get a good start. Don't go spend $20,000-$30,000 and you're 25 years old and you don't got money and you're going to find yourself in debt. So what are your thoughts on maybe holding off or maybe having a smaller traditional wedding and celebrating years of marital bliss down the line where hopefully you're more financially responsible then?
You know how I feel. I think I've said this on the show before, but weddings are the biggest waste of money in American society and culture. So yes.
Wow.
They are.
That's on a t-shirt.
So yes, I agree with you, Ferg. I think it makes 100% better sense. Put the work in and show me that you guys can last and all that stuff. And like you say, you're on better financial ground 10 years into the marriage versus when you're in your mid 20s, late 20s or whatever, and you get married. And I have seen a lot of people I've seen people take $50,000 loans that took them, I think, 7 to 8 years to pay off. That is ludicrous to me. Okay. So I guess my answer is short. Yes, I agree with that wholeheartedly. And it's a route I hope my daughter takes, or at least do like I always hear destination weddings are much cheaper than traditional weddings and stuff. So I agree.
Y'all know I'm cheap, so I'm all for it. I mean, you know, I've gone through it twice, right? And so we had a small wedding with Allison at her sister's house.
Yeah.
You know, so it was very tiny. And then we went to the courthouse with me and Jen. So I definitely agree. I that traditional wedding thing, it doesn't make sense depending on your income level, savings level, status level. Though, you know, I think those things do make a difference, right? Like if $15,000-$20,000 is a drop in the bucket, it's not hurting you at all. Go for it. You're me. If I ever decide I'm going to get married again, if we wanted to spend $10,000-$15,000 on a wedding, man, like it's not going to hurt us to do that. And so I think there's one thing. What?
Flex.
No, I mean, but the thing is, I've done a really good job of saving and preparing for the future. So at this point, if I did want to spend that money, I mean, it hurts if I spend $1,000. It hurts if I spend $5,000 to me in my mind. But when I look at my plan, my retirement savings plan, spending that money isn't going to change much, right? And so I think there's that too. But going back to your initial question of changing the dynamic and making a paradigm shift in people's minds about it, I completely agree. I think that we need to have those discussions with our kids about where is this money better served? Can you invite 10 people, 15 people that's really, really close to you to be, somewhere, a destination wedding, or just come somewhere and let's get married, celebrate you, and then 10, 15 years down the road, if you want to spend that $15,000, $20,000, like you said, Ferg, I mean, even though it hurts, it's you're very much more stable and able to absorb that cost at this age, at 40 years old, than you would have been at 30. And so I think it totally makes sense from a societal standpoint. Because we got to think, when weddings really initially started, only aristocracy were doing those big, huge weddings like that. Everybody else was doing really small events, just a family there and everything. And that was it. You know, we might cook something that afternoon and have like a little barbecue or feast or whatever, but it was nothing as huge as what we're doing now. And that the industry has caused that, right? Everybody, it's like, oh, I saw somebody else do that, I want to add that in. And so now weddings are getting longer. There's more and more stuff. We got to do our sand ceremony and the candle lighting ceremony, and we got to jump the broom, and we got to do this, we got to do that. And there's like 17 ceremonies inside of the ceremony that you got to do for it. I mean, it's getting a bit much. And I do think it's a waste of money. I agree.
Yeah. So there's so many things to unpack. I'll pick up where you left off. The ceremonies and the expectations are getting ridiculous, because even leading up to the wedding, the whole video and the engagement, like it just, everything has become a production where I get it. It's part of it is about the money, you know, but another part of it is about, do we lose sight of what's important? And that's the strong marriage, getting to know each other better and planning a life for each other, with each other, to the point where I've actually talked to some married couples, and because they'll spend a year and a half planning for the wedding, their whole relationship for that year and a half is all about the wedding. So the person you decided to spend the rest of your life with, you pretty much put your growth and getting to know each other on hold for a year and a half, because everything's about the wedding. And then after the wedding, they're kind of almost what we talk about sometimes, where parents, when they get the empty nest syndrome, where the kids are out and it's like, well, shit, what do we do now? It's that same thing where the wedding's over. It's like, oh, well, okay, can't talk about the wedding anymore. The honeymoon's over. I'm Ferg. Nice to meet you. I haven't talked to you in a year and a half about anything. And also, I think with the divorce rate being so high, is that a smart, sound investment? You know, if 50% of marriages end in a divorce, you know, that $20,000-$25,000 could be served. It might pay for your divorce. Who knows? Might be better served, but it's something to look forward to. I've been talking about doing this vow renewal for years, right? the closer we get to it, is less than a year away. I'm so excited. I'm excited to see Z walk down the aisle. Not because I just love, because we've made it this far. What we've accomplished over the years, like my appreciation for her and what we built now is so much richer than it was 9.5 years ago. And now I think we truly have something to celebrate, because everybody doesn't make it to 10 years. Everybody doesn't make it that far. And it'd be 5, 7, 8, 9, whatever. But maybe it's a milestone thing. Maybe it's, hey, let's check off these things and earn the ceremony. Like, oh, babe, we need to do this, and this. Let's save up this. Let's get this set up. Maybe we come up with a better strategy to prepare for, like, we made it here. Now let's celebrate our victory, our accomplishments by bringing in the people that we love. And especially because the people who are coming to this ceremony aren't the same people that would have came 10 years ago. We've met people along the way who have been very integral in the success of our marriage and our growth, and to have our kids there and all that stuff. So yeah, you can have both. If I could do it again, I would probably go back and have a smaller ceremony. I'm blessed that we're in a situation where we can go back and do this ceremony, but have that small ceremony. And you said 10, 15, it could be 25, 30, 50 people, whatever. It could be a smaller ceremony, but it doesn't have to be the thing that you're trying to save up for and all that stuff. So that doesn't have your marriage start off struggling, and upgrade the rings too. You don't got to buy that rock day one, 24 years old, trying to buy a 2-carat diamond ring.
What percent of your salary is it supposed to be?
I don't know.
Or how many times? Something like that.
Is it like 3 times?
It's like 3 months or something like that for the ring.
3
The wedding's supposed. Yeah, I know. House is supposed to be 3 years or something, 3 to 5 years of your salary.
Really? Is it just mine or hers combined?
Combined is what, or household income or whatever is what they're saying.
So I know I got my take on weddings, but I got a coworker. He feels that way about wedding rings. He's like, man, it's just rocks and metal. That's all. He's like, we're the ones that put a value on diamonds. It's just rocks and metal. I was like,
I mean, culture. If you look outside of us, it's not really. It's wedding bands. They talk about wedding bands. They don't talk about wedding rings.
The Bears did a number on us.
Oh yeah, they ingenious. Like I used to always joke, because I had friends. Once again, I have a bunch of female friends. They would have their ring picked out, or the budget, or however much a dude's supposed to spend on their ring, without the dude. You know, you're trying to get what the Kevin Samuels type dude, you know, and you don't attract that. You're not that, and you might be qualified for that, but at the same time, that might not be where he want to put his money. And if I don't want to buy you a $10,000, $15,000 ring, I don't love you. I used to always ask this: would you do half of what you ask him to do for you? So if you want him to spend $10,000 a ring, would you spend $5,000 on something for him?
I just love the women that lie. I think we posted a picture of a Walmart ring and said it was like, I want to say it was like less than $50. Like, would you say yes if your man proposed with this? Yeah, as long as he loves me, stop lying. No, you would not. Oh.
You might say yes, you ain't gonna wear it. We still working on the wedding bands and stuff, you know. Oh, babe, you know, I'm in the industry. I really can't have a ring. Just give me a band, you know. Then they'll go back to like, I need a band. So, but just talking about that, like the whole looking for a, you know, high value man, just running the numbers on that. Like, I think we talked about in Mobile.
Talk about it,
right?
Razi.
You talk about men that make over 6 figures. All right, so that means that they're in the top 20%, right, of men that make over because they make over 6 figures. Now you put that into perspective of black men that make over 6 figures. You're only talking about 2% of the population, and in Mobile it's probably even less than that, maybe 1%. You look at the how many black males are in Mobile, then you look at the 1%. You're talking about like 100 dudes in all of Mobile, and then they got to make over 6 figures.
They got to be straight.
Then they got to be straight. Yeah. So that's maybe 20-30% right there. That's knocking out single. Like, and then you're talking about age groups, right? So maybe that, and most of those guys are over 40 if they're making that much. And then you talk about if they're still single and not married yet. So you're talking like 20 guys that's available, single, straight, make over six figures in all of Mobile County.
You got 5,000
all
women.
Y'all feel like every single woman in Mobile feels like she should get those 20 guys.
Yeah.
So one or two things going to happen. Either you're not going to get them or you're going to share them.
Hey, Roger, somebody got to get him. There's a third option.
Okay, one of y'all gonna get them. Out of those 20, one or two of y'all gonna get them.
And now we're down to what you said 20. Now you're down to 19.
Yeah, you're down to 19, and y'all gonna either share them or you ain't gonna get them. No, those are your options. But
let them move.
I'm sorry.
Pensacola.
We're recording on Sunday. I felt like preaching a little bit.
Man.
So
that was too funny.
Oh man. Oh yeah, we're gonna get a lot of black.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of kickback. But I mean, it's just running the numbers. I mean, statistically, you aren't gonna find this six-figure guy, and you got to be okay with that.
Yeah, and then the final step is he's got to want you back. Let's say you find a straight six-figure single who you think is attractive guy in Mobile. He also has to want you back.
I didn't even put in the, oh, he's attractive. Like, that brings it down to like 5.
Yeah.
That's very true.
You want. So, yeah. I mean, we could literally, like, put a website together that said, here's the 20 guys in Mobile that fits that bill. Straight, all that stuff. And you still couldn't get them probably because of all of that.
Yeah, and you're right. And I think, Byron, that's the biggest thing. And every time I hear Kevin Samuel's show and women talk about it, the thing I don't hear them explain is why this so-called man would choose them or be willing to date them over the next person, probably in the exact same situation.
They use broad descriptions like, well, they have a great personality. They're willing to cook and clean.
So does she. So my thing is, once again, why would this person choose you over the next woman who's 38, 2 kids, has a great personality, likes to cook and clean, who's a 7 or, whatever? Like, why would they choose you?
Doesn't need filters for a pick.
And I'm not saying it's fair. I'm not saying it's tough. It's a bad situation. But the same reason, when we were young, we had to figure out what would make a woman choose me. When I was 24, 25 and broke, and you got this 30-year-old dude that just bought a new house and is taking chicks to Cabo or whatever, and whenever Dubai was popular, everybody was going to Dubai, like, I couldn't do that. Why would you choose me?
It's funny you say that, too, because you always talk about how you were broke when you and Z first got together. And there's a lot of women that don't want to deal with you while you broke. They want to wait till you get to this Ferg now. And it's like, nah, I already got my queen now. You didn't want me back then. So they would have, some of them want to skip the hard process.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one thing that was one of the biggest things I appreciated about her is, and as men, I tell people, we don't always, for whatever reason, we're taught and society teaches, you got to pay to play. Like, no romance without finance. And so my thing is, I think it tricks us. Because if I spend all this time trying to get to this point where I'm this suitable suitor, then I look up, it's like, I kind of am the shit right now. Like, the sky's the limit. A lot of women say guys they're feeling themselves too much and stuff like that. Yeah, but you wanted me. This is all you guys wanted me to be here. Now I'm here. And now I realize all you guys wanted me to be here. And so, but with her, I felt like we built our kingdom and our castle together. So everything I've accomplished, God, hope we never get a divorce or anything like that, because she's going to use all this against me in a court of law. I couldn't have, I feel like I would have been successful regardless. But the level of success and the trajectory of my life now would not be the same without her. She motivated me. She pushed me. She was my rock when I needed it. She was my why. And so I say that to say, so everything that is ours is truly ours. Rather than it's when I already got it and you just kind of coming in on it, like, yeah, I want to build with you, but like, hey, I did this without you. And I think women have that same thing. Women are so successful now where it's hard for them to kind of take in somebody else when they've already had these levels of success without people. So sometimes to get the younger, it's a gift and curse. The younger you get married, if you're both focused and you can build that stuff together, maybe it helps you accept each other and see each other as equals. Rather than, like, I did it without you. You weren't shooting the court with me. Mm-hmm. She was shooting the court with me, Razi, what you got for her?
Real quick then, I think I had a question about, you guys know I'm starting to kind of get back out there, travel more, do more things and everything. And one of the things that comes with that is leaving the kids so that I can go out and have fun and everything. And it's uncomfortable. And even when Jen was alive, we didn't do it often, right? We wouldn't go on trips without them. We would every once in a while. But I wanted just kind of you guys' thoughts and how you kind of plan out trips you're going to take without the kids. How often you do that, and just kind of your thought process on why you take trips without the children.
Well, the why is because you need that break. You need to have, like, I love family trips, but there's nothing like just me and Tab trip where you can just do adult things and you don't have to worry about, is this place appropriate for kids, or will Jasmine like this? Because sometimes we don't like to take her places where we know she's going to be bored, even though we'll enjoy it. So you need that type of time. We don't try to do it that often. Like, we'll do, this isn't going out of town, but we'll do date days on a school day. Like, I'll take off work, she'll take off work. And once she goes off to school, we'll do something around the city and make sure we're back in time for when she gets out. As far as going out of town, we don't do it that often, maybe once or twice a year. But that's more or less because we have limited people in this area that we, trust to watch her, for multiple nights at a time. And we also hate doing it when school is in. So we try not to take those type of trips because whoever's watching her, we don't want them to have to worry about getting her to school, getting her back. Because, my aunt and uncle, they're retired. You know what I mean? My cousin, she has her own adopted kid now. And my other little cousin, she has her baby. So, we try to make it as easy as possible, do it in the summertime to where, Jasmine is low maintenance. Just give her a laptop and Wi-Fi or her art pad. She good to go. Make sure you fix a nice breakfast because that's her favorite meal of the day. But other than that, she's pretty much low maintenance. So we take them because we need them. We don't do them that often. But as she gets older, oh boy, we got places lined up. We ready to go.
I'm with you 100%, Buff. Take them because you need them and you deserve them. Like, I think sometimes people forget that parents are people too. And we're supposed to get this, I don't want to leave my kids. Like, people are selfish by nature. Like, you need a break. You want a break. You want to go places and do things. We're blessed that we have people who love my kids dearly and that stay really close to us. And that's my stepmom and my sister. And so there's always somebody at that house, always somebody like they want to kidnap my kids sometimes. They're young. Sky had a soccer game yesterday, and after they came to the game, and after the game, like, are the kids coming with us? It's like they weren't planning on it, but we can take them home and get them fed and dressed and changed and stuff like that. We'll bring them over a little later, and so we end up having a little break from them yesterday and end up going out to dinner and a few drinks last night just because. But when it comes to trips, we don't try to do it too often, and we try not to be gone too long. We try to find the easiest way to do it. It's especially with our kids being so young, not having to go to drop them off at school and stuff like that. So we usually try to do it around the summer. And my sister's a teacher, and when both of my nieces were at home or still in Houston, they weren't in school during the summer. So there was days they would just kidnap I literally dropped Sky off at daycare, and 2 hours later, like, we just picked up Sky from daycare. That's the world we were living in. So we want to make it very simple for them. So if they have them for the day, they don't have to, they don't have to take them anywhere. They don't have to do anything. We try to make it as convenient as possible. We'll leave a credit card with them. Both my kids have credit cards. And so if you want to go out and eat, you want to do something, I don't want you to have to be worried about cooking for them. If you weren't going to cook anyway, you don't have to worry about cooking for my kids. Mm-hmm. You want to eat, you want to order pizza, food, whatever. We're just happy you do that. So I think you make it as easy as possible on the kids. But I think one of our biggest reasons is we want to show our kids what a good relationship looks like, where I want my kids to have kids and I want them to go on trips. I want them to leave the kids with us. I don't want them to be scared to, not too much now, but I don't want them to be scared to travel and stuff like that. I don't want my kids like, well, my mom and dad never left me alone, or we never got to do anything. They were always there. I want my kids to say, look, when I get married and I have kids, my husband and I, or my wife and I, still need to travel. We still need to love each other. We still need to have our independence from the kids. So, Z and I have this mantra we go by. We had them for them goddamn kids. And we live by that. So when we drop them off, we try to make it a point not to dote over them. We try to make it a point like we know they're in good hands. We did everything we can. Now we check in, but it's not, man, fuck them goddamn kids. Like, they're going to be okay. And my kids are going to look up and think about, man, I remember when my mom and dad used to travel. When I was growing up, I only remember once or twice Kenny and my mom doing anything like that. Like, even just leaving me to go to a concert or something like that. They did not leave me. And I wanted them to go out and experience life now as an adult. And family trips, we're trying, now that my kids are getting a little older, we're planning those more and more. Mm-hmm. It's our goal is to do kind of alternate a family trip, a small family trip, and a personal trip every year. So like this year we might do a bigger family trip and a small personal trip. And then next year do a bigger personal trip and a small family trip. I don't got like you and Buff. I can't do both. So
whatever.
But I want them to see that. I want them to see both parts of it.
And Razi, when I answered, I was really thinking about like getting on a plane out of town. But there have been times we just, shout out to Baltimore real quick, or New York. Like we did a date day, overnight date day in New York. And so those help as well, to where you're not necessarily going 3, 4, or 5 days at a time, but just you got that whole overnight time. And some Ferg said, because it's something Tabitha agrees with, she loves for Jasmine to see examples of how I treat her. But I can tell you, us going out of town is not one of the ones Jasmine appreciates. She still kind of grits on us a little bit. Not like she used to, but I remember we showed her pictures of going to New York, and she was like, that's nice. Because she hadn't been yet.
What's going to happen is when she's married, she's going to expect that for herself.
Yeah.
Because it's those things like, man, when I'm a parent, I'm never going to leave my kids. And when we become a parent, like, man, fuck them goddamn kids. Like, how soon can I leave them? Those things we don't want to do, but we look back and we understand. So Jasmine might not appreciate it now, because she sees the fun that you guys are having without her. But when she 10, 15 years from now, 20 years from now, when she's married and when she starts to date 20 years from now, she'll appreciate it. Because if a man can't do those things, if a man doesn't want to travel and treat his wife to nice things, he doesn't stand a chance with her.
Yeah.
She's
That's it. It was for me kind of what you guys are saying about trying to balance that personal time, that getting that break and everything. Because I have to have it, because I don't get a break at all. There's no guys' night out or whatever. Like, if I want to have a guys' night out, if I want to go hang with my boys, I got to find a babysitter, get somebody, hey, can somebody watch them, or take them over to somebody's house. It's not a, hey, babe, I'll be back in a couple of hours and just walk out type thing. So it's even harder for me to kind of make sure that I'm making that time and not feeling like I'm just leaning on folks too much, right? Because again, if I ever want to go out to dinner, if I want to go to a movie by myself, I have to find a babysitter. I got to call somebody and be like, hey, can y'all watch the kids? And so there is a little bit of a difference of, me going out with my boys and the kids are still with their mom hanging out. So that in their mind, I'm still at the house. There's no big difference or no change. It's just dad's gone for a couple hours. At this stage, it's like in their head, I'm always gone because they always have to go to somebody else's house. They always have to go to do something else every time I want to be able to do anything. And so trying to be strategic in that is where I'm kind of, struggling a little bit on how much to go out and hang, go with. If you joke Fridays, like say no and be like, hey, I'm going out with my boys this weekend. I'm not going to Atlanta or I'm not going wherever. It's like, I'm just going to chill out and I'm still going to send the kids somewhere, and just have some alone time. And so finding that balance of how often to do that. But I am getting better at it and kind of working through how often and taking cues from them where if they start to say something or say, I miss you or I don't see you enough, you're always gone. Okay. No haps, not going anywhere for a couple weeks, three weeks or a month or whatever. And I'm going to spend these weekends with you or whatever. So it's all of that. But yeah, it's a lot to kind of think through.
Well, for one, I'll say you deserve it. You deserve everything. I mean, you're working a full-time job. You're a full-time parent. You're doing all this stuff. And maybe I'll look at this wrong. Sometimes they won't understand until they understand. It's like we're talking about two young kids who lost their mother, and being away from you is scary for them. And they want to be around you. And you've done everything you can, but you deserve to be revitalized. You deserve, I know the pressure I have on me, and I feel like days I want to crumble. I can only imagine what you're facing. So when you got to get that, they're going to love you regardless. You're not going to abandon them. And when they get older, they'll understand and appreciate it, understand that daddy needed this. Daddy needed that. And if they don't, they will. And some things, and maybe I'm wrong, it might not be for them to understand. It's for you to understand and you to be a parent. And sometimes parenting is hard where you have to make those tough decisions. Like me getting away is not about you. It's about daddy needs a fucking break. It's just that simple.
I need quiet. I need to be able to watch a movie and sit for 2 hours and not get interrupted.
Because what the alternative is you're there, but you're not. Mm-hmm. You're there just in the physical form, but you're not. You're just like, I can't wait till they go to sleep. If Ali asks me one more question, I'm gonna push him down. If so, because what you don't want to be is to be reactive and then resentful and just burden. You gotta break away. You gotta break away. You deserve it. It's for one, I think it's for them. You got to be at your best, and getting away sometimes just revitalizes you to go back and do it. Now, if you're just gone every weekend and you just abandoned, that's different. But the you I known for the last 25 plus years is not that person.
Right.
The you I've gotten to know even better in the last year and a half as a single father is definitely not that person. So you deserve it, man.
Just took me a me day last week, a few days ago. It's needed, bro.
Yeah.
It's a lot because I was talking to Z last night about the difference in our life has changed, with Z going back to work and me doing a new job and both kids going to school. I wake up with them every morning, getting ready for school. And that in itself is a struggle, because there's mornings they'll wake up before I do. And it's like, they could go back to sleep. Like you got another 47 minutes of sleep. Like, why are you up now? But my son's bed is soaked and stuff. So it's just, it's a new dynamic. And there's days where I'm just, because she leaves early in the morning, there's no help. And it's just, and I tell there's just days I still got to do it and I'm drained. And then that would be great if my day was over. My day hadn't even begun because I still got to go to work. I got to be ready and all that. But, man, you deserve it. Don't feel guilty. The fact that you feel guilty means that this is what she was literally telling me last night. The fact that you feel guilty means that you're doing the right thing. You're the right person. Because when you're not thinking about it, is more so when we got to start worrying.
Yeah. I can't be that parent we talk about. That's all.
Yeah. So, man, embrace it. Say it with me for them goddamn kids. It's a beautiful thing. With that being said, what's up? Let's go ahead and close this out.
I'm gonna say we started off talking about Colin Kaepernick a little bit. I just want to talk about Razi's quarterback, A.a.ron Rogers. We found out. Well, we kind of mentioned it last week towards the end. He lied, but it's just been fun for me to watch those in the media who rip people like Kyrie Irving to shreds for not taking the vaccine and other athletes. And when they find out A.a.ron Rogers lied and didn't take the vaccine, it's like they almost didn't know how to handle it. And like Stephen A. Smith really got called out by Jay Williams on it on First Take. So that was just fun for me to watch. I just wanted to mention that, and just the whole dynamic of, how it's easy to go against some of these black athletes that people don't like, but when it's one of your favorites that does something like that's very similar, you're more nuanced, you're more calm about your critique and criticism. So I just enjoy watching that.
Is Stephen A. Smith code for Razi?
No, not at all. Not at all. That's his quarterback.
Because Razi's very accepting of A.a.ron Rogers' choice not to get vaccinated.
No. He's putting our season at risk. So I love the meme where they were like, they had A.a.ron Rogers saying, what's the point or how good is the vaccine if people are still getting sick? And they were like, look, you're one of the best quarterbacks out there, but the Green Bay hasn't won a Super Bowl in 10 years.
Okay, man.
The only thing I got, man, is Ollie's birthday is going to be next Friday. So happy birthday, Ollie. Love you, man. He's turning 8 or 7. God, it confuses me every time. Like, I made his birthday invitation, his party invitation, and put 8 on it. I don't know why. For some reason, I want him to be 8. I think it's because he's taller than all of his cousins, and they're 8. So Sophie, Eli, and Bryce are all 8 years old, and Ollie is as tall as Eli is. So he's a big boy to be 6 going on 7. But we were at a party last week, and like people were like, he's 6. I was like, yeah, he's 6. So again, shout out to the McMillan jeans on that, because I definitely didn't come from the Macarola ones.
Not at all. 2 things. We talked about Q17, my line brother, celebrating our 20th anniversary. So today we kicked off the fall 2001 crossover season. Today is the 20th anniversary of E40, the Delta. So happy 20-year Porsche. You're getting old. Happy 20 years to the rest of you and your line. I remember being there, seeing you guys cross. It's been a great journey the last 20 years with you and others. And go King Cheetahs. Skylar just finished her first soccer season. They had playoffs yesterday. They won every game this season. Of course, lost in the first round of the playoffs and ended up playing for 3rd place. So they're 3rd place. They got 3rd place, but I think she likes it. She wants to practice soccer more. So might have a little soccer player on my hand, but go King Cheetahs. And shout out to Skylar's bestie. She has a book coming out called Daddy Shoot Them Away. I will drop the details for you guys to be able to order them. It's about her adventures during the pandemic and her imagination. And they're actually having a book release party today. So we're going there. But I love when I see our Black families and Black dads and moms kind of honor their kids and do those things with them. So Daddy Shoot Them Away. I'll drop the link. Great job, young Rhea. Can't wait to read it. We got our books. We'll be picking them up today. So with that being said, 3 Brothers No Sense. Listen, like, share, subscribe, comment, and most importantly, listen again. Talk to you next week.